You are listening to an MLGA Network podcast. Welcome to Make Liberty Great Again, the best damn Liberty podcast that you've never heard of. I'll be your guide as we peer into the ridiculous reality that is our society and our government. Let's get to it. Welcome to Make Liberty Great Again. I'm your host, Cam Harless, and with me today is Ryan Burgett of Techno-Agrist fame, as well as the co-host of the MLGA Network original show, Thank You for Your Servers, pool owner, dog thief, fighter of diarrhea, and Make Liberty Great Again's boomer in residence, Mr. Gary Guthary.
Hi, everybody. How you doing?
How you doing, Gary?
Howdy, Gary.
So, what happened to your face, dude?
Well, a couple of weeks ago,
Seriously?
I was riding my bike to work, and the wheels kind of just slipped out from under me and fell on the ground, face planted into the cement, and landed myself in the emergency room. So that was a lot of fun.
So you had COVID?
Yes, I had COVID. I died too.
You actually kind of look like the lead character in the video game God of War, Kratos.
I'll take your word for it.
I mean, a boomer version, but yeah.
Yeah, my video games are just a Doom guy. That's about as late as I go, really, to be honest.
Space Invaders? Pac-Man?
Pong.
Well, yeah.
Pong, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking the later days.
That's what those kids are playing these days.
Oh, yeah. Pac-Man.
Did you have the first Atari or not?
I still have my first Atari, yes. And it works.
Wow.
They're selling a new one, right? They're releasing a new version of Atari, and it's like $500 or something.
Yeah, I can't get my head wrapped around it because it's all just built in and you just select what game you want instead of having to go get the cartridge and, blow on it.
It doesn't count.
It doesn't. Yeah.
I mean, they can just put all this stuff on a chip, basically, these days, and they just release these microcomputers and call them, these classic consoles. But it's not a console. It's not. There's nothing Atari about it.
No, I mean, it kind of looks sort of like a tribute to it, but that's about it.
Well, and it has, you can play your PC games on it or something like that as well. So it's kind of just a PC for your living room.
It's really not. It's not the old experience. I mean, the old experience was always, you had to put the power cord in it and then you had to prop something under it so that it kept it at the right angle to keep the contact, so that you don't lose your DC power because it was a transformer at the socket that changed it over for you. And you had to pick between channel 3 and 4 on the TV.
And they didn't give you this experience on the new box?
Yeah, I know. It's really, these kids don't understand what they're missing out on.
Well, it's like my kids want a Switch, which is the newest version of Nintendo.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, that's great. Game Boys, I think, have maybe not at first, but when my mom bought one, I think it was about $100 back then. And I mean, I know that, inflation, but yeah, I mean, I don't think she paid that much for it. These days, the Switches are like $400 or something.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
And I'm like, I'm not going to get one each for my kids. That's insane to me.
Like, you know what? Get a stick and a ball. I mean, go old school.
Yeah, go outside and get hurt.
Right. Go get dirty. Fall on your face.
Climb something. Yeah.
Ride a bike. Just destroy your whole face.
Exactly.
We live in these bizarre times where phones now cost $1,200. And that just is disgusting, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What the heck are we paying that much for a freaking phone? But if your phone, the little stupid computer you keep in your pocket for talking with people, if that's going to be $1,200, then I mean, if you can get a whole game system for $400, using that scale, it seems reasonable.
I suppose.
Not a handheld one though. I can't wrap my head around a kid having his own Switch that costs that much. I'd much rather find an old Game Boy and buy him that. Be like, here, take this old thing, go.
But I thought you said the Switch was their new console.
It's their new console / handheld device. So it's like 2 in 1.
Yeah, you can cast it to the TV and or send it through HDMI or something. I don't know.
Do they not have a TV standard, box anymore?
I think it's this mobile version of a console, and I've seen most people that I've seen play them. Well, obviously, if I see them play them, it's going to be handheld and not at home. But
well, yeah, I've seen people with the little things, but
yeah.
I thought it was connected to a TV.
That's their Game Boy now. At least that's my understanding. I could be wrong. I am a millennial after all.
Is that my shtick on your show? I just come here and ask questions. Like I'm the guy who doesn't know what's going on.
No, the shtick is when me and Gary talk about something and you don't know what it is and you frantically Google it while we talk about it.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Okay. Sounds good. I'll look up a Wii now or a DS.
So Gary, you were on our technology show, our tech news show. Why?
Well, okay. Well, I work in IT. I work in data security and infrastructure. So I'm hooked in just to pay my bills to start. And, it's one of those things that it's a topic that doesn't get a lot of attention, particularly from a liberty perspective, I think. I think that people don't really, they see technology as a tool, but not necessarily see the cultural implications of it or the political implications of it or whatever.
The Liberty IT position?
I guess, if you want to put it that way. Yeah. IT, a lot of it's very cut and dry, but there's a lot of subtlety to it that I think that people are missing out on. And that's the piece that kind of interests me more than just the bits and bytes and making things work. So.
Well, the data security, that definitely, or that aspect of it especially, has to do with privacy and personal liberty, and like in my book, that's inseparable.
Yeah, it really is, and it's a hard place to be sometimes because there's a lot of regulation, there's a lot of controls, and a lot of policy and procedure. A lot of that's driven not necessarily by government; it's more driven by industry and best practices, and basically companies like Experian coming down saying you will do this or you will not do business with us, kind of thing, which I can, but at the same time, it's a private company, making their rules for how they want to interact with me. So
in your last thank you for your servers, you were talking about, what was it, driver's license data you guys are mining or something?
Oh, not mining. No. So my company is, I deal in auto finance. So we deal directly with the car dealerships. And one of the big things that they're dealing with, one of their struggles, is consumer fraud and stealing cars off of their lots under the pretense that they're buying the car, right? And we're developing tools that help to prevent that. Because ultimately, it's like any industry, when a dealership suffers a loss or a manufacturer suffers a loss, we all pay for it, right? So this helps them to identify the fraud before it happens. We've actually had, because of our tool that we've put together, several arrests made of people using fraudulent driver's licenses to try to buy cars. So it's an effective protection for the businesses, as well as identifying potential identity theft, where someone may have stolen a barcode from the back of somebody's driver's license and slapped it on their own picture, kind of thing.
I definitely, when it comes to technology, I do think that that's the clearest and quickest path that we have towards freedom in general, because, the government has a hard time keeping up with innovation, period. Like, how many years did it take for them to figure out how to backdoor all of these different things? Like, how long did it take before they shut down the Silk Road and destroyed Ross Ulbricht's life? Like, they're slow. Right. They get there eventually. Like, right now, I think probably one of the more disturbing things that I've seen is, did you hear about the Twitter Bitcoin scam that happened the other day?
No, I haven't heard of this one.
Okay, so on Twitter, someone found a way to either social engineer or I haven't looked too deeply in how they did it, but they either social engineered their way into a bunch of very high profile verified accounts, and they either did it through a Twitter employee or in some other way. But this person got onto Elon Musk, Barack Obama, and several other verified Twitter
Bill
accounts.
Gates, was he one of them?
I'm not
There's a
sure.
lot of them.
I didn't read the whole list, but he got onto their Twitter accounts and told them, hey, I'm feeling very generous today. If you send any amount of Bitcoin to this address,
0 to 15 Bitcoin.
Oh my God.
I will take it. I will double it and send it back to you.
What?
And people did
And
it.
people buy this. And this is part of the culture thing that I talk about, right? It's like
They also wear masks when they leave the house.
I mean, come on. In this day and age, really, you're going to believe, I don't care if it comes from a verified account, right? Yeah, I'm going to give you something. You're going to give me double it back. I mean, people just...
Yeah, seriously.
This is the cultural thing, right? So when I work in data security, like I said, and in my company, one of my biggest challenges is making sure that everybody kind of values that data security and that they understand what to look for and what are the red flags, right? And every time I hear stuff like this, it just kills me because it's so obvious to even the lowest levels of my employees at my company that this is not real. But I mean, I guess people buy it.
And you'd think someone who owns Bitcoin would go, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to send it to some unverified wallet that I don't know.
Yeah, you're not getting Grandma Martha, next door.
Yeah, no, if you follow the cryptocurrency subreddits, these people, most of them are just these practically children. They have no idea what they're doing with anything. Yeah, they have some and they hold on to it, and it's pretty crazy. The questions they ask, they hurt. So
Twitter responded to this by making it so that no verified accounts could tweet for a certain period of time while they tried to crack down on things.
Brilliant.
Which I won't say who, but I did tweet proxy for a verified account during that time period.
It's Hillary Clinton.
It was Hillary Clinton. I tweeted for Hillary. But yeah, so they shut down all of the healthy people because of a few sick accounts.
That sounds like gun control.
Sounds like COVID control. Putting all the healthy people in quarantine. Yeah.
Yeah, it just sounds like some run-of-the-mill opportunist scam.
Just high level. And apparently some of the little things that were let out while Twitter was looking into it was like Twitter employees had the ability to like blacklist certain people from trending, which is something that they didn't know about, but people didn't know that was even an option before. Right. There'd been talk about it, but it'd never been proven.
Conservatives have assumed that for a while.
Yeah,
but there were actual screenshots showing that they could blacklist people from trending.
Really?
It's like, oh wow, that's fun.
Well, of course, the response to that is going to be, it's a company, they can do whatever they want.
They're private company.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So imagine that with the upper and lowercase letters throughout, right? So
SpongeBob meme.
It's called private tyranny. It doesn't make a difference, like whether you're public or private. The public, the government, they're a private organization.
Yeah, at some point you reach a critical mass where I think there's you cross a line, and it's no longer a private decision at that point. It's the impacts are socially widespread.
I mean, I get most of my news, like real news, off of Twitter now because corporate press is awful.
Oh, yeah.
Can't just go to CNN or these regular sites. So Twitter is very important for me to find news as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So then being able to blacklist that, not good.
The way the market works is people making their will heard. So anytime you have somebody who criticizes a private company, I say, Facebook, how dare you do this? Or Twitter, that's disgusting. Or YouTube. And people say, it's a private company. How does that libertarian person think the market works? It works by you making your opinion known. When we say Twitter, that's disgusting, or YouTube, that's awful, or Facebook, what are you doing? We're making our voices heard. We're doing exactly what the market should do.
Right.
It's anti-libertarian to say that you shouldn't criticize a company because they're private. No,
you should criticize everything. If you don't criticize them,
then nothing will... Exactly. That's the way the market works.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Make your own Twitter, Ryan. Come on. You know how this works.
Yeah, Thaddeus and I have been down that road a couple times.
All the alternatives stink.
They do. And one of the newest alternative that's come up that I haven't joined for multiple reasons is Parler.
It's a joke.
It's so funny. I've been talking to different people, and they were like, oh, did you hear that in the terms of service, if you sign them, you could actually get in legal trouble? Or if you want to DM someone, you have to provide a copy of your driver's license or some ID in order to do it. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, those things are bad, but I'm like 98% sure that Parler is just the federal government's little holding tank for dissidents, so they know where everyone is and what they're doing, and now has pictures of their driver's licenses.
You know, it wouldn't surprise me. You know, here's the thing. You know, I'm not a conspiracy theorist necessarily, but I think, okay, I've got my own crazy ideas, but the bottom line is, you know, that what gets me is when people hear you say stuff like that and they're, oh, you're just a conspiracy, you know, blah, 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 blah. What they don't realize is we've got how many people running the federal government? 435, 500, and whatever it is, right? One of those people or two of those people, if these thoughts, if you believe that these thoughts aren't going through at least a few of those people's heads, you're an idiot, right? Even if they're not acting on it, even if they're not actively creating some sort of fake social media thing to keep an eye on the dissidents, whatever. If you believe that those thoughts aren't going through their heads, you're a moron, right?
Well, yeah, I'm just saying it may not be a concerted conspiracy. I'm just saying if there is a place where everyone is going, Gab, Parler, etc., that are all of the thought criminals, and everyone's heading there for freedom, and it's very well known that that's what it's for, I don't really want to go there. Because I feel like there are going to be more eyes there than there could ever be on Facebook or Twitter.
Sure. You know, it's like, you know, that is, again, and I've talked about this in the past too, you know, when as soon as you start shutting people down and shutting down, you know, silencing people, what ends up happening? They back off into their corners, right? They become a caged animal, right?
That was a really good conversation you guys recently had about that.
Thank you. And you know, what happens when you back an animal into the corner? Either one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to concentrate them in one place and you're going to strengthen them, or you're going to push them into a place where they fight back and cause a problem, right? This is why we have freedom of speech, theoretically, right? Where ideas can be shared and spoken about.
And debated and beaten.
Without fear of retaliation. Let people be racists, you know, let people be, you know, sexist or whatever, you know, let the cake shop not make the cake, right? These are the things that help us grow as a society, not trying to engineer it to a point where you're backing everybody into a corner.
Well, and it's never going to work. I mean, look at in the, the 50s and 60s, the busing, look at the, what was it? The quotas that they had for hiring a certain number of black people back in the day that gave rise to David Duke having a bigger following than he had previously, because people were losing their jobs due to racial quotas.
Right.
And then suddenly David Duke is out there being the idiot he is and taking advantage, being a smart idiot who took advantage of the situation to gain followers.
Right.
We need speech to fight speech. And this has been like something that's come up several times on my show recently. Black people in speech.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're talking about, you're talking about other times when you're talking and you're not quoting Joe Jorgenstern verbatim, right?
Well, that point that she made in 1996 was on frickin' point.
How many other videos of Joe do you watch, man? Are you with her?
That is legitimately the only video I've watched with Joe Jorgensen in it. Because I found the video and I went, you know, if someone put this video out there and played it right with the correct framing, the lefties would blow a gasket. So I've sat on it, but it's out there.
Gary, what do you think of Joe? Are you with Joe?
Here's what he's actually asking. Are you a fucking statist, Gary?
Are you a
I mean, cuck? I feel backed into a corner.
Do you hate yourself?
Here. Yes, I do. Clearly, you know, if I were to pick one, here's the thing. You know, lately my take on who you support as president or whatever, it only does one bit of real good, and that is to start some sort of communication, right? So if I come out and say, oh yeah, well, I'm a full-on Joe Jorgensen supporter. Well, I mean, shit, I voted for Gary Johnson, why not? I live in California. My vote doesn't even matter anyway. So,
Vote for Kanye.
I might. I don't know.
If I was registered to vote, yeah, I might consider voting for him just as a middle finger to everybody else.
I don't know. As far as who do I support, you know what? The presidential election, it's so meaningless to me, honestly. I care more about my city council member who can actually make me paint my house a different color than who's sitting in the White House, to be honest.
Really, you care more about your dog than you do about your city council members. You care more about your pool than politics when it comes down to it.
Thankfully, there's no diarrhea in my pool, so.
Good to know. That's the title. That's the cover photo cam for this episode.
Just diarrhea in a pool.
Yes.
Yeah, the diarrhea sign.
Yeah. Thank you, state of California.
So speaking of California.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you ever been to Bohemian Grove? Have you ever done any sacrifices there?
Bohemian Grove. I don't even know what that is. What is that? Bohemian Grove?
Now you're playing dumb?
That's where the all the powerful elites go out and cut people open and
outside of San Francisco, man.
Oh, dude, San Francisco's a different
where they get in their hoods and they have these human sacrifices and crap. Alex Jones broke in there one time. It was fascinating.
Man, I'm Southern California. Here we have Black Star Canyon, man. That's, you want to talk about that stuff. Black Star Canyon's where it's at down here.
Well, I mean, you're in California, so I'm curious, which celebrity are you most looking forward to be outed as a pedophile?
Ooh, that's a very good question.
For me, it's Tom Hanks. I mean, I'll say that every time. Tom Hanks.
Yeah. Nah, I actually kind of like him somewhat. Not sure about his latest work, but
he's sucked for at least 15 years.
Who would I want outed as a pedophile? Yeah, that is a really, really good question.
Think hard.
Oh, I know. David Faustino. Yeah, let's put him out there. I hate him. David Faustino, Bud Bundy from Married with Children. There's the Google.
David Faustino.
Faustino, yeah. He's Bud Bundy.
Some guy on Fox?
He's on Married with
Children. Born in 1974?
Yeah.
He's an actor, rapper, and radio personality.
Yeah, that's the one. Lock him up. I don't want him around. I had the pleasure of meeting him and his entourage.
Is it because he's a rapper? Do you hate rappers?
No. I met him and his entourage when I was working at the amusement park here, and he was just a dick.
Oh, I lied. It's not Tom Hanks for me. It's Sean Astin.
Oh.
Should have seen that one coming.
Oh, man. I can't believe I haven't thought of this.
Wow.
Yep, Sean Astin. That's my answer.
Yep.
He dropped my motorcycle.
Only a pedophile would treat your motorcycle like that.
No, he didn't drop it. Remember? He told you.
It's your baby.
Yeah, he pretended it didn't happen, so obviously the scratches just showed up magically.
Yeah.
Like the diarrhea in your pool.
Hey, I have a magic sign. It protects me and the pool. State of California said, as long as you have this sign, you're diarrhea free. So,
Ryan, who do you want to see outed as a pedophile the most?
I can't answer that. That's a horrible question. I don't want any of them to be pedophiles because I don't want there to be pedophiles. Okay? Do I think they almost all are? Yes.
But who would you see outed as a pedophile and go, yeah, I'm glad that person's out of circulation?
I don't like that one either. Let me just say I would not at all be surprised to hear about Ellen or somebody finding out, ooh, they're in something trouble. But yeah.
I wouldn't question just about anyone at this point.
That lady weirds me out.
But yeah, Ellen, Oprah, wouldn't be surprised.
Oprah would be a good one.
Oprah's not all bad.
All right, but who would you be saddest to find out is a pedophile?
For me,
Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon.
Love Kevin Bacon. I've always loved Kevin Bacon.
I would have to say Keanu Reeves.
Oh, that'd be sad.
Oh.
For me, Chris Pratt.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would, like, Chris Pratt would be a sad one. I'd be like, oh no, there are no good ones out there.
Yeah.
Chris Pratt. Yeah. It's the symbol of everything good and right.
So what you're saying is that Keanu Reeves is your favorite pedophile.
I suppose that's one way of phrasing it.
Title of the episode, Gary's favorite pedophile.
There you go.
So do you think that Ghislaine Maxwell is going to live through her jail time? And do you think anything's going to be learned from this situation? Or do you think we're just going to have another low-key Epstein suicide?
I'm just amazed and entertained to the hilt at how much attention there is to her being in danger there is. As opposed to...
Is she even in jail?
Well, we don't even know now, right? Because, you know...
I mean, I'm not convinced she ever stepped foot in a jail.
She was denied house arrest, right? So she has to be...
She's in custody.
I heard that they were moving her between cells and things to make sure she wasn't assassinated.
Yeah, they're which is amazing. This is what's hilarious to me is, oh yeah, Epstein...
We're being manipulated.
Epstein killed himself, but this one, we better protect her really good, because just in case. Yeah, right.
It's all manipulation, man. I mean, come on. If I see, USA Today or something running a story about moving her around to hide her from assassins, I mean, come on. Like, I'm not going to believe that for a second. Whatever they're doing, I'm not even going to listen because I know it's BS.
Well, and then, yesterday there was the federal judge doing the Deutsche Bank case who was...
Epstein case, right?
Yeah, Deutsche Bank Epstein case, and was her son was killed by somebody dressed as a FedEx driver, and her husband was shot as well. And then that shooter was found dead later, supposedly from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and people are like, "Oh yeah, it's gun violence. We need to rein this in." It's like, dude, if anyone buys that's just random gun violence, they may as well go on Twitter and give me some Bitcoin.
I mean, the suspect was found freaking dead. As soon as I saw that on my phone, I turned to hand and went, yeah, imagine that.
Yeah.
Like, there's the surprise of the century. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course he was going to be found dead. Probably 2 gunshot wounds to the back of his head, self-inflicted.
At least 2,
after he deposited the gun on the other side of the park.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they did find his body chopped up in a freezer with the suicide note, so...
Yeah, that he did.
Oh,
himself.
well, then clearly.
Of course. Suicide,
yeah,
obviously.
Obviously. COVID, probably.
Yeah.
Definitely COVID.
I love all of these old people that I keep seeing these stories. Some of them I don't even know who they are.
Okay, Gary is not that old, man.
Well, I mean, he's that old. But, no, these different people that I see that I don't know the names of, or I can't remember them right now, who are in prison for different things, and they're all asking to leave prison because of coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily they keep getting denied. But it's just so crazy to me to see everyone try to use this stupid virus to their advantage.
Well, everybody's going to use it to their advantage. I mean, it's the latest, greatest thing, right? So...
Well, they'll keep all the drug offenders in there, but what's her name? The lady from Full House who...
Oh, Lori Loughlin?
Who took advantage of a loophole. Yeah. She's not leaving. She ain't getting out. We'll keep her in there.
She'd be a good pedophile.
Yeah. Well, she may be a pedophile, but at the same time, that whole thing makes no sense to me at all. Like, who cares if you go to a private or public college and spend a little extra to get your kid into the college? How is that offensive?
You know what? It happens all the time anyway. I mean, if you look at any college, you walk on campus and they've got their library named after someone, and you're telling me that person who donated the money to get the library named after them didn't get some special favors for their kids down the road? Give me a break. Of course they did.
Yeah. The person offered her and them that service, who was offering that to anybody who was willing to pay. Hey, if you pay extra, I'll make sure you gets in. But
Right.
yeah, no, she's the most evil person in the world.
And what's wrong with that? Why should I be offended by that? Why should I be offended by someone having money or privilege?
I'm not.
I want to give my kids that same money and privilege if I can. What's the problem? It's just college. It's a waste of time and money anyway. So
Well, even her daughter admitted that in that one video that surfaced where she was in her dorm at USC, right? And she even said on the video, she's like, "Well, I'm just looking forward to the parties. I really don't care about school." You know, it was straight up just a waste of time, like you said. But
Well, the one thing that I can understand is the person working their butt off to get really good SAT scores, you know, and then they try so hard and they get it, and then some other person, you know, pays a little extra, and someone just magically marks on their paper that they had those scores. I can understand why someone would be mad at that point, you know,
yeah,
because the other person didn't invest the time, and yet they supposedly have the same scores. Okay, that's fair, but it's not criminal. What she did wasn't criminal.
I think exercising, fraud to do it. I mean, I don't know. If you're just giving money to the school and saying, okay, well, let my kid in, right? I have
Right.
no issue with that. When it starts getting weird is when you're playing like you said, Ryan, you know, you're playing against the people who are actually trying to work legit at it. Then
Well, in that person, yeah, the person who wrote the wrong things, who did commit fraud, that's the only person who would be liable in that situation.
right.
Not the parent who took them up on the offer to, hey, if you pay this much, I'll get your kid in. I mean, do we even know how much they even knew they were doing, or was it just
I don't
pay
know.
me and I'll get the kid in?
Honestly, I really don't even care. It's just
yeah, me
it's,
neither.
I don't either, but the one thing that I do care about is the fact that she doesn't belong to be in prison.
Absolutely.
Like, that's crazy. She didn't do anything criminal.
Yeah, I can understand trying to get your grades up to get into college, but it's not like we don't live in a time of absolute insane technology where all of this stuff can be done online and you can get the same education at the same school from home. I mean,
Right.
it's not like there's a limit of how many bodies can do it anymore. So what's the point in getting pissed off?
You can clearly take advantage of technology to make this. I mean, this is one thing that I think this whole crisis, this pandemic, right? If you want to call it that, this COVID-19 thing is teaching us is we have a lot more capabilities at our disposal that we have never had the guts to try, right? We've never had the motive to.
Well, it's not been profitable before.
Right.
Not nearly as
Yeah,
profitable.
That's true. But I mean, it's there, right? And we're being forced to use it and take advantage of it, which forced, I wish it wasn't that way. But, you know, my kids are doing a lot of school from home right now, and it's working. It's working great. My son has to be at school for 2 classes for chemistry lab, but, you know, you don't have a choice there. But other than that, I mean, the other things also, and, you know, while we're on the topic, if you don't mind me blabbing about this is one thing that kind of touches me on this whole shutdown. It's brought a lot of light to a lot of regulation and a lot of laws that are just completely unnecessary and and then add no value, you know. The laws against, for example, here we've got local ordinances, maybe it's state too, I don't know, where in order to buy liquor, you have to get out of your vehicle and do it. Well, they've laxed all that. And what has been the outcome? Nothing. I mean, there has been absolutely no negative outcome from saying, okay, guess what? You don't have to leave your car. You can get curbside pickup for liquor. It's fine. Right?
What is even the point of that?
Because I guess if you don't get out of your car, you're more likely to drink it in your car, which is stupid.
Is it so the cops can see you with your liquor getting into your car or something? I do not see the point of these, like, at all.
I don't know,
I can't wrap my mind around it. Like, why do, like, if I go to a liquor store or get beer at a place in Alabama, I don't know about other places, but it had to be put into an opaque bag.
So that
why
you couldn't see it. I don't know.
Why?
These are weird. These are weird laws. You know, it goes back to the crazy laws, right? We have laws on the book here in Orange County. We have a law, and my daughter brought this up. It is illegal in Orange County, California, to eat an orange in the bathtub. Legit.
I know that I think it was in Alabama, there were two laws that I knew of. One, it was illegal and maybe even punishable by death to salt a train track.
To assault a train track.
No. Salt.
Salt?
Oh, salt.
The condiment. Because apparently it can lead to trains being derailed or something.
Huh.
And the other was you can't have an ice cream cone in your back pocket or something like that. And I was looking into this. Apparently with that one, it was because some smart horse thieves found out that if they put an ice cream cone in their back pocket, they could walk and the horse would just follow them. And so they weren't stealing the horse. They were getting the horse far enough away. The horse did all the walking and then they had a horse.
Wow.
In Trenton, New Jersey, you're not allowed to eat pickles on Sundays. The Trenton Pickle Ordinance, it was called.
Why?
You know, and you look at some of these, like these current ones, you know, you're not allowed to buy liquor unless you get out of your car. It's the same stuff, you know. They put all these laws on the books to address a symptom rather than to, you know, try to address a problem, you know.
You can't breathe steam if it is flavored a certain way.
Right. Oh, darn.
That one pissed me off.
Well,
Can imagine.
Because they did that when I was in Pennsylvania. They decided that they couldn't sell, gas stations couldn't sell the e-cigarette vaporizers, the flavors, unless they were menthol or tobacco. Because if it was fruit flavors, then kids are going to buy it, but they won't buy the menthol or the tobacco. So problem solved.
They need it to taste gross so people will do cigarettes instead. Gotta support big tobacco.
Well, that's the big thing.
Too many taxes get paid by people buying lots and lots of cigarettes. So
if you don't think that big tobacco has been working with the FDA to try to get these things off the market, you're crazy.
Exactly. The state is so in bed with these people.
Oh, yeah.
In Allentown, they were building it. They were doing, you know, of course, every city is like, we want to stop smoking, make all these laws against smoking. We're going to save people from themselves. And then Allentown, in order to finance a big public expansion they were doing there, they said, and we are going to finance it with the biggest cigarette warehouse anywhere. Wholesale cigarettes, every cigarette, this big old warehouse of cigarettes. And that was how they were going to fund this expansion, by putting this in. And all the taxes from that would fund this expansion. It's like, don't tell me they don't have an incentive at that point to keep people smoking. And all those laws are just, you know, violent virtue signaling.
Yeah, well, virtue signaling or regulatory capture or whatever you want to call it, right? I mean, it's big business leveraging the law to do what big business does.
Well, I mean, in Pennsylvania as well as in Alabama, there were, I don't know as much about Pennsylvania, I just know that they had some similar rules with the state selling the liquor and stuff like that. But in Alabama, we have what we like to lovingly refer to as sin taxes. I don't know if you guys have sin taxes or if you've ever heard of that phrase.
It's called guilt and shame.
But these taxes are on cigarettes and alcohol. So when I was living in Birmingham and I actually moved down to Lower Alabama, and I would drive into Florida for work every day. And if I bought the same bottle of rum in Alabama, it was a $30 bottle of rum. If I bought the same thing in Pensacola, it was $22.99 because of the sin taxes.
Yep.
Golly.
You gotta love these ways where they're like, oh, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna raise taxes on something to talk people out of doing something.
It's all to make money because, you know, it's like the old joke goes, you know, how does the joke go? It's the Jews don't recognize Jesus as the Christ. The Muslims don't recognize something, and Baptists don't recognize each other in the liquor store. You know?
Yep.
They're going to buy it. They're going to drink it. And the state is just going to make bank off of it and claim this moral high ground on it. That's all it is.
Just like with smoking.
And it hurts the people that they're trying to quote unquote help with their reasoning for making the money, which is like, oh, well, if we raise the taxes on cigarettes, people are going to buy less cigarettes and they're not going to smoke as much. I have known white trash people. I don't know if you know how this works, but if you raise taxes on cigarettes, they eat less food.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It hurts them because you know what is the wonderful thing about nicotine? It's hella addictive. And so people are much more likely to cut down on their eating than they are to cut down on their cigarette smoking. So it hurts the poorest of us. Disagree with smoking, disagree with drinking, whatever. But these laws do nothing but hurt the lowest class.
That's true.
Period.
100%.
There you go. Little rant about cigarettes.
Yeah, well, they hurt them, and then the same people who caused the hurt in the first place then turn around and use those people as justification for increased government this and government that. Look, these people can't pay for their kids. They can't pay for their kids' food. Their kids are going to starve. We need public schools because they are the only meal of a day, every day for all these children. I've heard that one so many times.
Yeah.
And people don't want to pay taxes. So instead of raising their taxes, what we'll do is we'll do a lottery. So it'll be totally voluntary. And these people who can't eat, who can't really afford to smoke are going to buy lottery tickets in hopes that they make enough, they win and have the money to do all the things they want to do while the government takes that money.
Freaking poor tax.
People try to make it out to be that government spending on education has gone down and it's been cut and there's so much less. And it goes up in real dollars and with inflation every year.
Yeah, it does.
Right. And yet they still pretend that we're not spending enough on education.
Well, it's the big
bullshit.
It's the big three: fire, police, and education. I mean, especially in an election year, right? Those are the three that are going to be getting all the attention. Oh, we're going to have to cut this. We're going to have to do that unless you vote for me. And then, we'll be able to buy pencils.
These same people also believe that a thin strip of cloth on my face will make them not get the flu. So, they're not thinking.
If you can smell a fart through a comforter, your mask is not going to protect you from coronavirus.
Yeah. I mean, not that I know how that works, but...
Oh, come on. You've given your wife a Dutch oven.
Cover the wagon, baby.
But yeah, that's so interesting to me is how often the rhetoric works so well despite everything, all the facts being contrary. Like if we raise taxes on cigarettes, people will smoke less. And people believe that and vote for it. Mm-hmm. If we raise the price on soda, then people will buy less.
No, they buy more.
Except they just buy more.
They absolutely buy more. And what I love is, they always tag it too with, oh yeah, we're going to increase the taxes to pay for anti-smoking programs or to pay for anti-drinking programs. And you and I know exactly where that money goes. It goes to the freaking pensions that they could never afford in the first place that they promised people back in the 70s.
I mean, do these guys ever tell the truth about anything?
Nope.
I mean, come on.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
It's all garbage.
But you know what?
Absolutely every word out of their mouth.
I do believe that as much as, there are those bad ones who are evil and are looking for ways to take advantage of, there are some who...
As in anyone in government. Every single one of them, including your stupid city council.
Except for Trump, Gary. Except for Trump.
You've absolved. Thank you.
I got your back.
Yes. Dang it, you got it out of me.
I think there are true believers in the government. There absolutely are true believers. They're truly wrong. But they're true believers in the CIA and the FBI. Yet, I think that a majority of the time...
True believers in the cops, Cam?
Yes, there are definitely true believers in the cops. And usually those are the worst cops.
Yeah.
But...
all cops are pigs, especially your stupid uncle.
Fuck your uncle.
That line always makes me chuckle. Your stupid uncle.
But no, I mean, there are true believers in all parts of the government. There are people who think that they're patriots, that they're going to save the world, and they're going to save your life. Mm-hmm. There are people like that out there. But when it comes to politicians, very, very few people are able to make it through the reality of it, which is cronyist, which is you can make money if you vote this way instead of what your constituents say.
Right.
I mean, I don't hate everyone who enters the military. I've met a couple that I didn't like much more because I had a friend who joined the Army, and then he was a good kid, and then he joined the Army, and he came back, and he showed me this knife that he got, how he was so excited because he wanted to take it over to Afghanistan on his first tour and quote unquote stick it in some raghead's head.
Oh my God. That's
And then later on, after his first tour, he came back, and I was like, oh man, that really made me uncomfortable. You know, I don't like it when people talk about murdering people. Right. And he came back and he was like, yeah, you know, when you're in the Army and you're driving through the streets and you're in a Humvee, you're not allowed to stop because of, improvised explosive devices. So, sometimes there are kids who are walking across the street and, sometimes you can't miss them. And he was like, one time I tried not to miss him. I sped up a little bit and he laughed. And I was like, oh, man, you are not my friend anymore.
No.
That's inhuman. You have to be broken, man.
But yeah, but my point of that was there are a lot of people who join the military because they're true believers, because they believe what they've been taught their whole lives, that people in the Army or in the Marines are heroes. They're there to protect our freedoms wherever they go and hide in Afghanistan or Iraq or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Protect our freedoms from those kids playing in the street.
I don't fault anyone, military, cops, politicians, for being true believers and thinking that they are trying to help or to save people. However, I do take issue with their ignorance because they should know better after a certain point.
Well, my biggest hero in the world was my grandfather. He was in the Army in World War II, fought in the Philippines. He was wounded in combat 3 times, and he's not my hero because he went and fought overseas. He's not my hero because he went and won the war for the country. He's my hero because he refused 100% to talk about it to us kids growing up. He never mentioned it. He never talked about it. He didn't even want to expose us to the memory of it at all. And I only found out some of the details about what he did and what he, how he served after he passed away from my uncle, who was told not to talk to the kids about it at all. And, he's my hero because he knew that it was ugly, and he knew that it wasn't this whole, I'm saving the country from, the Nazis or whatever. He knew it wasn't about that. And he didn't want to expose us to the ugliness that it was because, we were kids. You can't handle that kind of stuff when you're kids. And I'm really thankful that he didn't talk to us about it and that he didn't share his stories, because not that he was, running people over in a Humvee, because it wasn't anything like that, but there were some horror stories, and a lot of the politics of the war came out, and just things that he felt were not really necessary to be mentioned, not necessarily needed to be talked about when there was fishing to be done, and when there was hunting to be done, and when there was time to spend with the kids watching football to be done.
Well, and, I do think that there are heroes that came out of the military. I think that Desmond Doss is a hero.
That guy's a hero.
I think that what was that guy's name?
Adam Kokesh.
No, not that dork. Hugh Clowers Thompson Jr. He was the guy who effectively stopped the My Lai massacre. That man was a hero.
That guy.
Like, there are heroes that come out of it, but due to so much of our indoctrination as kids in this country, so much of what comes down from the media and what comes down from the schools leads people to believe that you're a hero if you're Chris Kyle and you've picked off kids. Or you're Pat Tillman, who stopped his NFL career to go kill people overseas and die for it.
Yeah.
And die in wars that do nothing for us and are not remotely justified or moral.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the people that are held up. And so, like, there are absolutely good people who have been cops, who have been CIA or NSA or military, but they're the whistleblowers. The good guys are the whistleblowers. The good guys, the good cops are the only good cop is one who resigns.
Yeah.
Like those are the people that we should say, hey, they stood up to injustice, truly stood up to injustice, and that's who we should praise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, your grandfather, he sounds like a cool guy.
He was a really cool guy, and he was the one who he's a legend in our family. I won't go too much beyond that, but yeah, he didn't want to. I honestly, I think a big part of it was he didn't want to remember it himself. He just wanted to get past it and forget about it because he knew how wrong a lot of it was.
Yeah, I can't imagine being a person. I can't imagine killing another person.
Mm-hmm.
It goes so against our nature as humans to kill people, period, but much less not out of pure defense. So I can't imagine making myself live through something like that over and over again.
I was at a friend's house the other day, and they had a little get together. So I'll probably die of COVID, in the next week or so. But
again,
that aside, again. I was talking to one guy, and we were talking about bikes because,
I'd like to fall off of them.
You ought to try it sometime. It's pretty cool. But
Sean Astin did it off of mine, so I hope he's a pedophile.
Okay, so you're covered. But no, I was talking to him, and he was talking about how he wanted to buy an electric bike for his daughter who's off at college. But he went on, and he had a few drinks in him, and he went on about, but she has to secure that thing because I know they're a hot target. And I'll tell you something. If someone stole that thing from her, I would kill whoever did it. And I just went, ooh, it's a bike, dude.
Ugh.
I mean, really?
You're saying that to Cam? He would kill Sean Astin if he could.
Well, I had the chance and I didn't. I feel like I deserve praise for that because I did the right thing. I was the Desmond Doss in that moment.
Well, if you find out he's a pedophile, then he won't be human anymore anyway. So he'll be free and clear.
That's true.
There you go.
Or a communist.
But yeah, this guy kept going on and on. He mentioned it like 4 times, and every time he kept getting more serious, and I just kept getting more uncomfortable. So to your point, it's like, that's not what I think of as an acceptable reason to kill a human being.
There are very few acceptable reasons.
Right.
Ryan would argue none, but there are very few that most people can wrap their heads around.
It depends.
Most sane people.
Yeah.
If we're talking about natural law, then there are very clear-cut times. But if we're talking about our ideal as Christians, then that narrows to basically nothing.
I mean, if you're pointing a knife at my throat and I don't have a choice, you're going down.
Well, that goes back to natural law, because if you're talking about natural law, you get what you deserve.
Right.
As in someone attacks your life, well, guess what? You then have the right to defend your life by taking their own if necessary.
Exactly.
That's natural law.
I'm just saying, no matter what, it's very narrow.
It is narrow.
For most sane human beings.
Yeah. If it's not narrow, you've lost your humanity, and that's a scary place to be.
So, Gary, is there anything uplifting and fun you'd like to talk about?
Uplifting and fun?
Yeah. What's made you happy this week?
My dog has made me very happy this week.
Why?
Because he's starting to poop solid, which is very, very positive.
Yeah, because if you have it on the carpet or on the sidewalk, you don't want it to be liquid.
We've had to walk him in the street because of it. We can't take him on the sidewalk, so because you can't pick it up. I mean, you just end up just kind of moving it around.
Put him in the pool.
So
yeah, put him in the pool.
No. Fortunately, he doesn't like water. He won't go in the pool. He's fallen in a couple times by accident, and that's all it's taken to scare him of it.
See, we got a puppy a couple of weeks ago. And so where your dog's solid poops are making you happy, my dog's solid poops are making me very frustrated because he wants to do it everywhere. And also, his favorite thing is to find a puddle and make himself muddy every time he goes outside.
That's why you don't get dogs. They're such a lot of work. And for what return?
Ours is an all-white husky, and a mud puddle is his favorite thing in the world. I hear you.
Yep. Ours is a miniature Australian Shepherd, and today he did it and got muddier than he ever has. And I was like, I'm not putting you in my tub. So I grabbed the hose. I washed that dog off, and he was like very unhappy with me. Yeah. But you know what? You're going to act like a stupid animal. I'm going to treat you like a stupid animal.
Right.
Freaking dogs.
So yeah, uplifting. Yeah, my dog's, he's an uplifting.
Poops are solid.
Yeah, poops are solid. My daughter and all my 3 kids are here back at home, instead of being off at college, which is nice to have them around.
Thank you, COVID.
Well, COVID, and they've graduated too, so.
That too. Can't blame everything on COVID, I guess.
Well, you can if you're the government.
True.
Gary, I have one last question for you for this episode. And it's one I've stolen from Michael Malice, so make fun of me if you'd like. But what is your favorite thing about me?
My favorite thing about you?
Yes.
Your beard.
Oh, that's what everyone says.
Is it?
I must have a shitty personality.
Well.
He would have said your butt, but he didn't want to sound gay.
Cam, I appreciate your humor, your honesty, your openness, and your willingness to be an ass and be treated like an ass, as we all treat each other in the funnest way. So hopefully that's a little bit better of an answer.
Probably the nicest one yet.
My wife's favorite thing about me is also my beard. So, I mean, I just, extra words help. You'd think paying for everything might do something, but
I mean, I'd say I like your motorcycle, but it's got all scratched up and stuff, so.
Freaking Sean Ast.
Son of a bitch. Sean Ast.
Pedophile.
I was so happy when that pedophile died in Stranger Things. All right, so on that note, I will end this episode. If you want to find Gary and Thaddeus's wonderful tech show, go to thankyouforyourservers.com or your favorite podcatcher. Type that crap in, because I made up that name and I'm so proud of it, even though people mention how long it is. Gary, are you on Twitter? You are, but I don't remember your Twitter name.
I am. I'm still trying to figure it out, though. So my Twitter name as it stands is Liberty and Brews, BREWS, because I brew my own beer. That's one thing Thaddeus and I have in common, that...
Besides being black.
Well, I'm only black from the waist down. So, but yeah, Liberty and Brews on Twitter. I'm not very active yet. I'll figure it out one of these days, but that's what I get for being old.
I'm just hoping our techno-agorist Ryan Burgett finally figures out Twitter as well. We'll see. In that way, if you want to talk to Ryan for some reason, go to Twitter and type in techno-agorist, or Facebook, or go to technoagorist.com, or listen to everyone on mlganetwork.com. Type in "This is MLGA" for me, and please send me money on Patreon. I like money. And no one gives me money for free, and I can't figure out why. Again, thank you so much for coming on, Gary. We'll have to do it again, because this was just a fun conversation.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it was a blast.
I requested on when I saw it was Gary. I wanted to hang out with Gary.
All right, and as always, dear listeners, stay sane.